Yeah, we're live. Seems like it's awful. I don't know, like the lighting's off or something in here. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's a little better. So a lot of bleed on this one over here. There we go. It is sunny outside, so it is nice. Now I've lost my focus. And we're back. That's still not good, huh? Yeah. It's better. Oh, I know why. How about let's turn the light on? And we're live finally after all that rigmarole. How's everybody doing? It is the last day of the year. We're going to send out 2024 and head into 2025. I'm excited. We got lots of cool stuff going on. Lots of cool projects I'm planning. Lots of testing. Got the new store, richardholderperformance.com. We got a lot of cool stuff that's going on right now. I'm excited. I was just talking to Ben at the car farm about doing testing on more Dodge stuff. So we got lots of fun stuff. I'm very, very excited. Real quickly, the thumbnail that I have up, I have cog pulleys for sale. If anybody's looking, anybody has a 671 or 871 or 10 or 14, whatever you want, anything that you want to put that style of, I think they're an 8mm cog. I've got a variety of them. I've got 4 or 5 or 6 of them, I think, that we've used for various things. I'm not running any more of those big blowers. I don't have any of those. Most of them that I used were borrowed from other places and other people. But I do have those pulleys. And so if anybody else out there has, a 671 or something that you guys are running, or 871, whatever kind of blower that you might have, and you want different pulleys for them, let me know. Hit me up. Either send me an email, or I've put in the description, you can hit me up at richardholderperformance.com. Just send a message over there and we'll make sure I check it out. And then you guys can let me know. I looked them up online. I didn't realize no wonder guys don't have a whole thing of case of pulleys like I have, because those things are not cheap. But if you guys are looking for them, please let me know. But yeah, 671, 871, your standard kind of cog pulley, and they bolt onto the crank or the blower. They're interchangeable. So the nice thing is about what we were looking at is having 4 or 5 different pulleys, is you have a lot of different things. You don't just have 4 or 5 choices, or you could put the same one on the bottom and then swap all of them through the top. You can put the one on the top, swap all of them through the bottom, and you can do that with each one of them. And then you can mix and match different ones and get, small changes and big changes and all that in boost. So you can run it a lot of different ways and achieve a lot of different boost levels. And I have some that are pretty big and some that are pretty small. So you can get, pretty big changes, really kind of speed the blower up, or alternately really slow the blower down. Because we have done that a lot too, where I wanted to run, low boost on stuff, 2 or 3 pounds, to see if, just kind of give us a starting point of seeing, where things were going. And so we did that, which was very, very cool. But let me know, send me an email, and we will get you hooked up if you're, and there will be obviously a lot less money for if anybody's buying them from me than you would be if you went out to try to get them somewhere else. So we got that going on. We have the stores doing very well. So we're finishing up the year with the store, figuring out if that's going to be a viable thing. It looks like it is. So it's good. So thank you guys all for your support. Thanks to the guys at Brian Tooley Racing and Airflow Research and SCAT and Vortec and all the guys that have helped me do lots of testing and support for this channel, which is really, really, really good. You guys, the viewers, have really come through supporting the store, which we didn't know how that was going to go. Yeah, I could try to offer stuff. And obviously for years and years and years, decades really, I've been doing testing and sending people, hey, look, if you want this, go over to Comp Cams and get this extreme energy cam, whatever. And so we've been doing that. And now obviously I can send them to my stuff, and that's good and beneficial for people. They know that I've tested these things, which is, kind of awesome. I have a couple things coming up. I'm going to do a camshaft giveaway. I was thinking about doing it tonight, but I just don't think there's enough room, enough time I want to kind of promote it. So we're going to do the cam giveaway for the 1 million video One of my videos reached 1 million views this year, or earlier this year in the middle part of December. And so again, thank you guys for that. It didn't happen overnight. That video has been up for quite a while, but it's the most popular one and it's been tracking a lot. And it's how to maximize performance on a 6-liter. There's like 8 or 10 different combinations of 6-liters that I showed. And it's interesting when we do this, that if I pick an LQ4 or an LQ9 or an LY6 or a LS2 or whatever 6-liter we pick, I always get questions about the other ones. Yeah, but what about this number or this alphanumeric designation? What about this one? What about this one? I'm like, look, they're all the same. They all respond the same. If you have one that has a rec port head on it rather than a cathedral port head, you're lucky, because you're going to start off making more power and you're going to end up making more power. But if you put a cam in it, it's going to make more power. They like cams. It doesn't just respond to that cam with a cathedral port head, or doesn't just respond to it with a rec port head. They both are going to like going from a stock cam to whatever this cam is. And if you get 50 or 60 horsepower with one, you're going to get 50 or 60 horsepower with the other one. There isn't that specific. In fact, Jimmy and I were talking about that today, that I was telling him that sometimes I like to go on to Facebook and stir up the hornet's nest a little bit, because what happens is somebody will reach out to the group that they're in and say, hey, look, I got this and this and this. What cam should I use? Well, I got this head and this intake manifold. And like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There isn't one camshaft that works better with a 799 head than a 706 head. There isn't one camshaft that works better with a Trailblazer SS intake manifold versus a fast manifold. They're thinking about it entirely wrong. And part of that is because maybe some of the dyno testing that I've done where I show one camshaft and it work really well. And so they think, oh, that only works well with that thing. But that's not the case. And also you get other people that chime in there. You'll get people that say, oh, well, you don't want to come here and get advice because you're going to get a lot of bad advice. And I would agree with that. There is a lot of people will throw out a lot of information without a lot of data to back up that information. But the other thing that they get a lot of is, yeah, call me, Joe Schmo's House of Custom Cams, and I'll hook you up with a custom cam for that. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. You 100% do not need a custom cam for your thing, because your thing is like, if not exact, close enough to thousands of other ones that are out there. And also, here's a little secret. There isn't one cam that makes your combination work. There's literally hundreds of camshafts that will do what you want it to do. It's not just my cam or BTR's cam or Cam Oceans or whoever's, and it doesn't take a custom cam to do that. That's nonsense. In fact, all the really good custom cams are eventually phased into being a shelf cam because it's a good cam that they now have done some testing on and they know that it works. And so they should offer that camshaft a lot. And I agree with that. But this nonsense about there being only one thing that works with a 5.3 with a Trailblazer SS intake manifold, like I said, that's just utter nonsense. And so I like to poke the bear a little bit when I go in there and make comments, and particularly with the people that are, oh no, you need to call me. I'll hook you up with the perfect kind of cam for this. Really. There would be 70 cams that you couldn't tell the difference from on the dyno with which one of those makes more power than the other one. You just wouldn't be able to tell it because they're all going to be so close. But I digress. So that's a lot of fun. So we do that on occasion. And Jimmy and I were talking about, excuse me, how to go about answering a lot of these questions that these people have. Because when they're reaching out and they're asking these questions, it seems like they kind of want that answer. Oh, well, this cam actually, it's always this best cam thing. Well, this cam is certainly the best one that you could make. Well, what if that guy wanted a little more low speed power? What if he wanted a stock converter? What if he wanted the most peak horsepower ever? What if he wanted all that stuff again? So the whole subjective thing comes in there, and it's it's a whole big thing. I'm excited about doing testing with the Omni in the car on the chassis dyno. Probably do that on Jimmy's chassis dyno. Probably might do a bunch of that. And in fact, Ben might come down from the car farm and we could meet over there and just spend like days on the dyno. So Jimmy, if you weren't aware of that might be happening. So we could do, we could test things on the chassis dyno. We could test exhaust systems and intercoolers and E85 and different computers and that, because it's got a factory thing in it. So that would be a lot of fun. And then I could also follow that up with engine dyno stuff. So we're working on that as well. So that should be fun. I've got the 400 small block of needs to be just, I mean, the short block's already done. I just need to put it together with we've got some of the trick flow heads, the trick flow aluminum Pulleys heads, which is that motor should have that on there. And so that should be good. So it'll be nice to get down to West Tech and see all the guys down at West Tech again. Should be going down there pretty quickly here and doing some more dyno testing. So I am excited about all that stuff. See, we're looking forward to the whole new year. Should be fun. Near. Okay, it's going to be a little technical. You have to do some thinking on this. Would you choose the big crank pulley and small blower pulley over the opposite on a 671? Who's looking for blower pulleys? Sergeant, Jet, what's going on? Happy New Year. Yep. And in some places that might already be New Year, right? We got some hours to go. Blowers among us. That's right. Blower is my dream. I want less boost. Yeah. Well, these blower pulleys would give you less boost if you put one of these on the blower side. If you put it on the crank side, it's not going to do that. Granddaddy, you want to know the names of all of the 71 blowers? I think the smallest one I've seen is a 3, but maybe they go down to 2. Maybe they just go down to 71. I want a cam number for daily use of the 8.1. We put the ZZ502 cam in. I think we put that one in and ran it. It worked good. Not sure I need boost. Everyone drive safety today and don't drink and drive. That's good. Happy holiday, Frey. Yo, happy New Year. Happy Nuevo Año. Do the watermelon crawl. 8mm pulleys. These are 8mm. Pretty sure. Happy early New Year. I have a 3-inch pulley now. I'm probably going to need a 4-inch. Yeah, on that size motor. 6-liter LS2. It loves the cam. I have a Firebird that I'm trying to decide, should I do LS3 or LT1, which is easier to build boost with. Which LT1 are you talking about? Are you talking about the newer Gen 5 one? And then how much power are you trying to get? See, Bill already asked that. And I'm late. I'm late to the party. This is how I moved from success to failure in selling. Gen 5. I would definitely pick an LS over a Gen 5. I did a low tent variant of Irish rhyming slang. Thanks and all of you. Thanks. And do you know if the T56 Magnum or TR66 is better? Does anybody have any input on that? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? On the Magnum or the TR6060? Want to see an M90 or a 112 on an LV3 4.3 liter? You can. An LV3 is already like a 300 horsepower motor, so it's be kind of like running it on a stock, almost like running it on a stock 4.8. I want a cam that will provide enough vacuum to work heater, AC controls, power brakes. All of that stuff is a consideration with choosing a cam, way more than is it a nitrous cam or a blower cam or a turbo cam or whatever, a carburetor cam or EFI cam. 2025 already in Australia. Yep. Happy New Year. For the poll, it depends. It's always that. There is a 271. I'm not sure what they use the blower for. I know I've never seen one. I have seen photos of them all stacked up together to kind of show the size gradient. Really want to put a 671 on my LS. I have videos of one of those that we ran on a 383. I suddenly became New Year in New Zealand 11 hours ago. LS has tons of support. I don't think the LT has the same level of support. It doesn't, and it's more complicated to run a direct injected motor as a swap motor than it is to just put an LS in. 421 small block Chevy, F1R, 12 rib, Howard cogs for street use. A cog's not bad if you have a blow off valve on that style blower. Your poll question is like asking if you want to connect the turbo to the intake or just let it blow air around uselessly in the engine bay for cool vibrations. It's not quite that bad. Both of them have boost. One of them just has more boost. I'd recommend turning up for 2025. First 11 hours have already been awesome. Look at that. Dean's already starting out running. Putting one foot in front of the other, just like the Winter Warlock. It's like 6-liter LS is a burnout for in an El Camino. Okay. A 671 would be good, especially with zoomies. I'm basically set to go flat broke within days of starting. Are you preemptively going broke at the end of 2024? Because you should start early. That's what they always tell us on all of our New Year's resolutions, and I'm making a few of them, to start early. Start doing that now. What I've heard, I should do the LS3 with a T56 Magnum since I plan on using it as a daily. Okay, I don't think there's a bad choice there, but I definitely picked the LS3 over an LT1. Might be off topic, but have you ever run a 4.8 on a 6-liter stock tune? I haven't, because I don't ever use factory computers on the engine dyno. We always run them with Hollies. Will blow through TBI ever tune consistently? I don't know. I worry about, the first thing I worry about on TBI stuff is not, can I get it to drive well and that stuff, is do you have big enough injectors to support the power? Particularly if you have one of the factory TBIs that only has 2 injectors that aren't very big, and there aren't very big ones available. Getting $12 off an eBay sale every 3 days on average and random odd jobs ain't quite doing it. No YouTube revenue yet. Maybe someday. Oh, the addenda. Oh, the add-ons. Adding. First thing I do with TBI is bigger injectors. It used to be back when TBI was the factory stuff on the GMs, you would put the big block stuff on there because they put bigger injectors and maybe bigger throttle bores in there. And that was the good hop up. But it was this much of a hop up from something that was already starting out to be like way too small. Putting 2 of them on there was cool. I remember Turbo City did that. They took 2 big block versions of those factory throttle bodies and then put it on a dual quad manifold. I'm like, that's genius, as long as you could get both of them to work. And I think they just split the signal or something. I don't think that they used 2 computers back then. But if you get both of them to work, then you've doubled the potential fuel flow. Plus, you have a dual quad manifold, which is, even if it's not as good as a RPM air gap, it's still kind of awesome looking. You can front load your brokeness. There you go. Dual TBI. Yeah, it helped a lot, because then all of a sudden, you have a realistic amount of power that you can make. Let's say that a TBI unit was set up and could feed 250 horsepower. Well, now you got a 500 horsepower deal. And I will be testing in 2025. My friend Tom has his slide valve injection. And so we'll be testing that. We were talking about that last night. There's some pretty intricate things going on there. What did blower people do about intake temps before intercoolers and E85? Just deal with it. You mean like on 671s? Like, well, carbureted ones had like their own form of intercooling, obviously with drawing fuel through there. That was always good for intercooling, and especially if you ran alcohol on them, that was really good. Cross ram the intake manifold. Anyone can subscribe, but I never push videos to subs because the videos I post are all over the place topically. I don't want to spam the stream. You should promote yourself. What you're doing, what I can tell you, what I've learned from years of a few years anyway of doing YouTube, is that nobody has to offer what you have to offer. You don't want to be me. You don't want to be or anybody good like successful like Cletus or one of those guys. You just want to be you. Just do the things that you do the things that you like, do the things that speak to you, and post those. And if people like that, they like that. They don't, they don't. That's all right. I have a Gen 3 5.3 with flat tops, Truck Norris cam, LS7 lifters, 706 heads, Trailblazer SS intake. All that sounds good. Twin max speed GT45s. Plan to daily the setup. Will it make 900 to 1,000 horsepower? Yo, those turbos. You have twin GT45s. Twin GT45s can make 1,500. You're not going to do that probably on your combination. I don't think you want to turn it up that high. And I think the other thing is going to happen is you're not going to be happy with the response rate of those turbos on that kind of combination. Truck Norris cam's good. The heads are good. The intake's good, but those turbos are too big for that power level. You should go down to GT35s. And they're saying roots blowers get less efficient, maybe is what you mean. That 12 pounds boost is the same even if it's running on methanol. The blower itself is not good at processing airflow and gets even worse at doing it at high pressure ratios. So the blower isn't good for doing that. The methanol helps with power production because it helps by itself. It also helps cooling to reduce detonation. It lowers the charge temperature. So the charge temperature side of the equation is going to help, but that doesn't stop the blower from not being able to process air very effectively. If you run 12 pounds in methanol on a blower and you run 12 pounds of methanol on a turbo, the turbo is going to be way up in power. It takes a lot of power to drive that blower. Wonder if slide valve is durable and trouble-free. Didn't Chrysler Corporation prove you can speculate on debt? Yes, sir. Now it's going to be very, very laggy. Yeah, 2 GT45s will be laggy. That Truck Norris cam's good. The BTR guys did a good job on that. Flat tops are good. L7 lifters are fine. The heads are fine. The intake's fine. It's just that those turbos are 1,500 horsepower with the turbos. And if you're only trying to make 900 to 1,000, you might as well step down to something that's more efficient. All you're going to do is add efficiency and response rate to the lower side and not affect the top side, because the top side, they can still make that power level. Drove the sensor to work today. Intake temp was 190 at 10 psi. Does it have a bypass valve on it or a blow off valve on it? Because driving around with the blower spun as fast as you're spinning it while you're cruising is going to not be great. Adrian, you got a single GT35? That's also good. I like this winter weather. I can run 87 octane with boost and still make power. There you go. Well, now I have 2 GT45s for sale. The nice thing is that GT45 or GT35, they're not terribly expensive turbos. So, does have a bypass valve. Okay, there you go. You're good. That should help with charge temperature. Try running that blower like that with no bypass valve, like we used to do on the Kenny Bills back in the day. It was not good. Cam selection for a Ford 280 bore, big block, 11-to-1, hydraulic roller, ported GM oval, 502 heads, 600 horsepower goal. Standard stroke. So it's a 464 or 5 or 8 or something like that. Just a slight overbore on on the 454. 11 to 1, you want 600 horsepower. 600 horsepower with the 454 is going to take a pretty big camshaft. Less if you have a really good set of cylinder heads, like an airflow research head. So 1.28, that's not terrible. I know you could get there with the 255, 262 cam that I put in stuff. That's a solid roller. Probably like a 242, 248 kind of thing will work for that. Comp has stuff like that, but other people have stuff like that too. Would you choose the big crank pulley and small blower pulley over the opposite? 77% are saying yes. So you have 3 pounds or 13 pounds, really is what I'm saying. So something on a 671 that's would be kind of typical. Could be more than that on a smaller motor, but I don't think on this slide valve setup that we have to worry about it passing EU or OEM longevity terms, just as you don't worry about that on the vast majority of aftermarket products. That's not really a thing. That's not really a consideration. What piston and head combination would you use for a 383 with a 671? Is it a 671? I mean, a 383, is it an LS? Is it a small block Chevy? And then what is your desired power output? And what fuel are you running it on? Is this like a pump gas thing? Like a street thing? Is it making all of the power that the 671 will supply kind of thing? See, Scott wants to know too. So Chevy, Mopar, LS, what do you got? What do we got going on? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Who you got? Who you got? I'm trying to think on the 600 horsepower stuff. It took good heads in a pretty decent sized cam. Nathan, small block Chevy, 650 horsepower with a 383. That's really easy. And are you trying to do it on pump gas? With twin GT35s and pump 93, could I do 1,000 horsepower? I don't think so. I think you're going to have a hard time doing that on pump gas. I don't think you get there with that combination that you're talking about. But you can try it. Nathan, a 383, you could put airflow research enforcer heads on there. You put a not very big camshaft in there if you're going to be driving it around. You could put a 224, 230, or a I think the next step up is like a 230, 236 kind of cam. Mid 500 lift. And I don't know if that's a hydraulic roller block or not, but I would choose a hydraulic roller for that. And then that combination with a 671 will put you at 650 at a fairly reasonable boost level. Bill, you just thought Ford put quadrojets on some engines for like factory ones? Horsepower headquarters. What will you believe when you see it? I see Tom Nelson doing 1,000 horsepower pump gas stuff all the time. Usually does it on big motors though. And in J-code, Cobra Jet's got the Carter built Quadrajet. Yeah, Nathan, a hydraulic roller would be the way to go. Ken Block's Unicorn was well over 1,000 with twin GTX 3584s. Those are probably real Garrett turbos, though, right? Heads reported, GM castings, 2250 5-angle valve job. Okay. That'll help. On methanol? Okay. Yeah, that helps. That definitely helps. Even E85 skews the horsepower calculation for boost. I have an LS3 with a 250 blower on it, methanol carb at 9 pounds. It's amazing, and the aluminum block offsets the weight of the blower. There you go. 2 sets of injectors and 2 different kinds of fuels. Yeah, having E85 or methanol would probably be even better. I want to test that in 2025. Methanol's on the list. I want to do a fuel test. But after you put E85 on a blower thing like this or a turbo thing, you're like, oh yeah, that's always really nice to have, because it's more power just with the fuel, and then more power with extra timing too, and then more power if you want to turn the boost up. Currently looking at an 88 Z28 350 turbo 350. I know the Camaro and yes, you could get a 350 and 88, but the car would have 7900 R4, not the turbo 350. Yeah, it wouldn't have come with a turbo 350 trans, but you could get an L98 350. I don't know though if the Camaro ever got did it get the aluminum headed L98, or did it get an iron headed version? But it would have had an overdrive transmit. RB25, I do like those. I have one of those. Nathan, guess my real question is, what's the best way to get to 9-to-1 compression? Let's see. You scroll back and put all your stuff together. Oh, you want to? That's on your 383. Have you already bought the? If you haven't bought the head or the piston, then it's easy to get to 9-to-1. You just combine both of those. Airflow Research I haven't looked that up to see. They might have different chamber offerings for the heads, and then you would have piston flat tops and dish pistons available to try to get the compression the way that you want it with the chamber size of the cylinder head. About an LS and the Honda for sale. I saw that yellow Honda. I really like that, but I wouldn't ever put another motor in it. I mean, maybe a B16. CJ428 didn't pass emissions for 80, 70, and 71 unless it had additional gear. 429 Cobra Jet with Quadrajet passed easily. And a 428 Cobra Jet was not nearly as good as a 429 Cobra Jet. It didn't make anywhere near that power. I wish the E85 was available at the pump here in UK. Can only get X85. Ooh, $26 a gallon. A building K24 with a war whistle for Honda project. Those are good motors. And again, for a street car, I would pick a 24 over a K20 every day and twice on Sunday, because it's the big block and it has torque. Down wanted to say thanks for all the testing data you have on your channel. Makes tuning base maps easy. Yeah, I'd like to I've always kind of wanted to put, base like maps up there, but I don't know if what we do on the engine dyno, and I don't really do a bunch of time. I could spend more time doing the idle and then interpolating to the wide open throttle stuff and give people at least maps that would get it started and get it running and stuff. I just don't want, what's going to happen though is it's going to go out there and going to say, oh yeah, I tried this tune that Richard did and it sucks. Okay. I like that Honda too. I wouldn't change it either. I don't think the car has an OD trans. Might be tough on the highway. It's early enough. It might just be a 4-speed. I did have, and I would not buy one if it's an automatic. I don't remember if that was an automatic. I don't think it was. That would have been uncommon. But I remember driving the Honda Accord that I got from my buddy, the Silver Bullet. And that car didn't have 5th gear. And then you had to skip shift 3rd gear. So it was a 1, 2, 4 kind of thing. And so we drove it around everywhere on 4th gear. And even on the freeway, it still got good, it's still got really good mileage in 4th gear. 40 over 302, everything but pistons, 77, 351 to 393, only have pistons or Coyote. This is my dilemma. Well, it sounds like you just need more things to put all those motors into. X85 ZP's racing version of E85. Yeah, race versions of that stuff is going to be expensive. That's a lot worse than $2.50 a gallon. Had a 71 Torino with a 429 Cobra Jet 4-speed. Oh yeah, that would be good. Richard, I watched the PRI video about Eric's cam challenge and the guys in there were complimenting you. Really? I'm surprised. Except for Brian Tooley, because Brian's my boy, but Cleveland boss blocks give you endless options. Okay. That was quite an undertaking that Eric did, and I'm hoping that he's going to put out the video on the other test that he's done after that, because there's more. Wait, there's more. More data is always better. More and more data. That's what we look for. That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking to Ben from the car farm about. I'm like, look, I want to run my Omni, which is essentially an 86 GLHS, a T2, 2.2 liter rated at 175 horsepower. But I want to make sure that it's representative because we have 2 dyno sessions on it that did different things. And it's not acting like it should in stock trim. And so I want to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to. Or if I have to put another motor in there or that it's making more or less or whatever, I want to make sure that this is representative of what they all do. And then once I start there and I start doing all this testing, I don't want to do a whole bunch of testing and have all of this data. Well, Richard, this much boost did this and the 85 did this and a header did this and a head and what all these things did this. And oh yeah, he started out with a junk thing at the beginning. So all this stuff is now useless, even though the gains wouldn't be useless, but you know what I mean? I want it to be right. In the battle between circular saw and left thumb, circular saw is tough to beat. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made movies about it called Saw. I think Miss Lisa is the brains behind this operation. Richard's a pretty face. Well, her being the brains is a step in the right direction, but me being the pretty face is not the right way to go. Somebody had a question about cooking too. I did the, which we still have, the prime rib, and the steaks. But Lisa does the cooking. What are the Boss cars in the early 70s came with a quadra jet, if I remember right? The Boss 351 came with an auto light. When I was in the service, a cop friend of mine had a 78 Firebird 403. Oles. Other friend had a gold Porsche, and another friend had a 64 Fairlane. The Cobra built 289. Nice. Michael, what's going on? Happy New Year. Yeah, you don't want to stick your thumb in front of it. The circular saw is like snaggletooth and bitey, and just like some of the snakes that we were talking about yesterday, the bitey ones, like the garter snakes. I laugh at that because having caught hundreds of garter snakes, they're very common, especially like during the right time in the spring. They come out. But I was up at our ranch, my parents' ranch, actually my grandmother's ranch, and we were out. I was lifting up this board that's right next to a pond, and garter snakes are essentially water snakes. They love the water, and so there's lots of pollywogs and frogs and stuff in this little pond that fills up every winter. And so they go in and they eat the pollywogs and stuff. And so there's a big, I call it a raft because it's just a big piece of wood or whatever, but it looks like it was somebody who was trying to build a little ship to cross over this thing. And the cows come and drink from there and stuff. And so I always go over to this board and lift stuff up because we found rattlesnakes and alligator lizards and stuff. And I lifted it up and there's a garter snake and there was another snake under there too. There's another, I think it's another garter snake. And so I grabbed the one garter snake and I handed it to my son, Owen, who was young. He was pretty young at the time. And I had to him, I said, okay, I was holding it. I'm like, okay, seems like it's okay. I had to, I said, I should just hold on to the snake. And he was holding on to it like this. And I said, it's okay. It's not going to bite you. They're fine. I'm going to go catch this snake. He goes, okay. And he's holding on to it and it turned around naturally bit him. It's like, you said it wouldn't bite. Because they're bitey. The 72 is dead to me. 266 Q code, Cobra Jet 351 and 275 horse, net R code, HL 351. Now the heavy hitters. 429 Cobra Jet and Super Cobra Jet. Yeah, Mark likes the 429 stuff. I still think 460 beats those. I still think that what was the output? I think the 460, they had a 400 horsepower one or something, but it just would make a lot more torque. But I don't know, maybe not. We have to see. Just the bigger one is the way to go. I feel the same way about the Cadillacs. The 500 is really cool. But again, just like lots of torque. In fact, I got a comment from a guy about, what was his comment about? Oh, about Pontiacs, because I'd made a comment in one of the videos about, I think it was on the 351, the Boss 351, about everybody else kind of, by then people had all killed compression and stuff, and the Boss kind of hung on there with high compression in 71, and then in 72 started lowering compression stuff. And that this was kind of the end of the muscle car era, that it wasn't in the 60s, that it actually was the early 70s for a lot of things. And then he was saying, oh no, it was later than that. It was because he was talking about the Super Duty 455. I'm like, yeah, it's a 455, so that's still good. And Chevy had 454s then also, but they're better with higher compression and more camshaft. And so, you know. Fishing in the San Gabriel River in Texas, water snakes everywhere. I no longer enjoy going in the water. They are good swimmers. I remember when I was a kid growing up in Vacaville, and they had caught a rattlesnake and they had it in a bucket, and they're like, yeah, we're going to throw it out. And this was the sewer ponds, I think. And they're going to throw it out in this big water thing. I'm like, just wait. I'm like, that's not going to do anything. Oh yeah, we're going to drown this thing. I'm like, well, if you fill the bucket up and hold it underwater, I said, then you could drown it. I said, but if you throw it in the water, I said, it's going to swim. Rattlesnakes can't swim. I'm like, oh yeah, they can. They can all swim. Not only can it can swim really fast. They're very, very good swimmers. They just have to be careful being in cold water for too long, but they're good swimmers. 72 is a new rating. So did they really lose that much horsepower? They did lose power from going from 11 to 1 to 9 to 1. You definitely would lose power from that. And in some cases, they would change the camshaft and stuff too. Have you ever considered testing a Duratec motor? There seems to be lots of them around, and many have variable intake manifolds. I don't think I've ever tried one of those, other than the ones that we ran for the Focus book that I did, because I think that the SVT motor was a Duratec motor. But my Focus stuff was Zetec. 429 Cobra Jet heads are better than the 460s. They are. And the Super Cobra Jet heads, I guess, arguably even better. But I don't think in either one of those cases, I don't think the cylinder head was ever holding back the power output of those motors. Are those the same as the Jaguar 2.6 V6? I have one of those here for a project. quad VVT and funny valves on the intake manifolds. I think that was Jaguar Ford marriage about that time when the Duratec was going on. So I think that is a Duratec based motor. I'm scrolling. I had a huge garter snake draw blood when I was younger. Had no idea they could bite. Oh yeah, they're bitey and they have teeth. That's how they hold on to their prey, because garter snakes are not constrictors. So they got to bite onto frogs and pollywogs and lizards and stuff, and they just hold on to them. So they do have teeth. Like I said, they're bitey. It drew blood when it bit him. I had a huge garter snake draw blood. Yep. Oh, Eric's got the ads. Thank you, Eric, for taking some for the team. What is the best fuel to use on a boosted engine that could also sit for a while without problems? Trying to decide if it's best to just use pump gas since it'll be driven a lot. Yeah, and a lot of guys do dual fuel systems with the fuel sensors on them. That way you can switch over if you want. You can run pump gas in it and keep pump gas in it and flush the E85 out and then put E85 in it when you want to go sport around. Some people have multiple fuel tanks to do that with. Have you done any testing on solid lift or LS cams? I haven't. I have done one way back. We did a solid versus a hydraulic roller kind of thing. But I haven't, because we've been able to run so much RPM with hydraulic stuff. Typically on small blocks, if it's 7,000 or more, we start looking for solid roller cams. Wait, but you're even asking about a solid lifter cam, right? Is it a solid roller cam you're asking about, or solid lifter? I don't know anybody that even makes a solid lifter LS cam, but they do solid roller cams. But most of those are really, really big cams for like racing applications. I'm not smart enough to know the difference between snakes. It's experience like anything else. Decay's brown snakes are tiny and seem docile. They're very tiny. Decay's is a lot like a ringneck snake. Seen plenty of rattlesnakes swimming around, plus moccasins in the rivers. Yeah, they're all the snakes are good swimmers, particularly sea snakes. My grandmother had a 72 Cadillac that had 500. Yeah, those are super torquey. Ever thought of doing a big bang on an Iron Duke? I would like to run an Iron Duke. Some of them are 4 feet long. My high school days, I may have gone to class with a couple of Anole lizards hanging from my ears. I think I will be on later. Compression crept back up in the ZR1, yep. Type of fuel rail would you recommend for Turbo 5.3 with a Trailblazer SS intake manifold? Does the stock Trailblazer SS fuel rail suffice when running 85? Yes, you're fine. I don't know what power level you're trying to run it at. Unless you were trying to make a lot of power, we run the factory fuel rail on most turbo things. Have you ever caught a mud snake or a hoop snake? I've never caught a mud snake. And the hoop snake thing of the snake, the myth of it grabbing itself and rolling downhill is not real. But I haven't ever caught a mud snake. Iron brown would be a little big bang. Yeah, a little bang. I was fishing Cape Fear River here in North Carolina. Just the name inspires. There you go. The water sky, if you've been near it after a storm debris, and lost fishing tackle will turn you away. Yeah. The Pontiac Trans Am Turbo, not very reliable, but in the 3.8 liter Buick, great tech. You don't think that the Grand National motor in the Turbo TA was good? Or are you talking about the one before that, the 301? Because the Turbo Trans Am that had the Grand National motor in it was really good. For the power level or whatever the GT40 can get me to. Yeah, you're fine. The GT45, the stock fuel rail is fine for that. I'm pro street and pro business. Are you pro mod also? Are you proliferate? Extra medium, big bang. That's right. I would like to run a. We've talked about it a lot. I would like to run one of the what is the little motor that he was talking about? I forgot. The Iron Duke. I'd like to run an Iron Duke only because people badmouth it so much. So I'd kind of like to do something with it. Just, I would never even take it apart. I just would run it. You have the shirts are all up on the channel right now, or up on the store. So they are for sale. We've got lifters. Make sure if you're going to get lifters, please, please, please put new lifter trays on it. Quad 4 and 7 Iron Duke. A Quad 4 would be cool. I wish I could have bought that 442 that was in there. I would have liked to have had that car. It had just been cool and unique. And I have never seen one of those driving around. That's the only one I've ever seen in person. I dog the Iron Duke a lot. I kind of would like to buy it. Like I'd like to buy an old post office vehicle for like $500 that's running and just do upgrades on that. That would be a fun project car. What is your overall outlook of the 3800 Big Bang? What will happen? What I hope doesn't happen is I hope that something else doesn't break, like an oil pump or a timing gear or something like that. And then I also hope that the cam and rocker setup that I want to try on it works. If not, I could just put a regular one on there. But if it breaks, then I don't know if that's going to work or not. But I don't see any reason. Like, I think it gets to 800 pretty easily. And then after that, it's going to be crossing my fingers. But we did that with all the LS motors too. Every one of them. Every Big Bang motor is like, okay, this is probably going to be it. This is probably going to be it. This is probably going to be it. Okay, we're not even going to say that anymore because we don't know. And so it will be the same thing with the 3800. Common water snakes in North Carolina have a maximum recorded length of 150 centimeters, 59 inches. That's a 6-footer. No, that's a 5-footer, right? Yeah, 5-footer. Short travel lifter is worth the money, or should I just go solid for street strip? I wouldn't get either one of those. I don't know what kind of RPM you're trying to run, and I don't know is this an LS? I mean, if it's an LS, I keep looking back at this L33. Are you doing more than 7,700 RPM? Those are just junkyard lifters. So I wouldn't do short travel lifters if your RPM is less than that. And I wouldn't do a solid at all. I don't recommend solids on LS stuff unless you're doing what Ben over there at the EFI University is doing, where he's trying to run 10 or 11,000 RPM. On 3800 Big Bang, we should be taking bets if the rods or head gasket will leave the chat first. Yes, I don't know anything about the head gasket issues. I haven't had that be a big problem with stuff. We don't lift the head very often unless we had stock head bolts on it or something. But if we put head studs on it and MLS head gaskets on it and we machine the head and the deck of the block surface, I don't think we have head gasket problems as long as we don't detonate it. And I think something goes before that. I've single overhead cam Nissan RB30. That would be fun. Yeah, those are cool. But it needs a twin cam head on it though. It needs to be a stroker RB. Is there a 4.5-inch pulley for the M112, or is the Lightning pulley the biggest one available? I don't know. What is the shaft diameter? Can you put one of these 3.8-inch pulleys from the M90 on there? I'm currently looking for a mini starter that will run the 142 flex plate on my LS4. I may run the stock starter, but it's bulky. I don't do snakes. Yes, the GNX and SCFIs were superb. Yep, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. Use millimeters, centimeters, or school kid stuff. Yeah, but when they're giving you snake length, sometimes they do that because some of them are pretty small. You're hoarding parts. I only see 47 likes. I only see 46, so you see more than I do. There's 47, and it's exactly half. 47 and 94. People, what are you doing? So it's the last day of the year. You can't like throw a like up there for me. I saw somebody on YouTube built a 4-cam small block Chevy. I've seen the 5-cam motor where they're using the center cam to drive the overhead cam stuff. I'm surprised that Pete Ardema didn't do that. Well, that wasn't one of his crazy things. Had a like him, he'll keep testing or tasting. The 5-cam. No, an LT5 would be a good name for it though. No, but it's the center cam in the block, and then they have a drive off of that up to the overhead cams. So there's 4 cams, 2 on each side, and then 1 in the center driving those cams. That's a lot of drive mechanism. Last day of 2024 doesn't even feel real. 4-cam small block Chevy sounds like a job for Garage 54, but only if they put it in a Lada. Exactly. It seems like a lot of rigmarole for. I don't know that that's necessary. I don't know if that's a thing. I mean, if we measure it on the coolness scale, it's way up there. If you measure it on the necessary scale, it's probably not as far as the cool scale. 31 minutes to 2025. Dean says he's checked out 2025 and we're okay to proceed. He's our time traveler. Lots of Ladas can be found cheap. Tend to shy away from fitting a smaller top pulley. Less surface area to turn the compressors and rotors. Okay. With dual cam setups, can you use 2 different cams? Yeah, that's not uncommon at all. For the intake and exhaust cams to be wildly different on 4-valve motors. The Iron Duke and the Grand Am was a miserable disappointment. The V6 one was a lot better. The S10 was a little bit surprising with a 5-speed, 410, no power steering or AC. Good. So that's like a race car. The GM 3.4 double overhead cam V6 was like that. They converted the 60-degree V6 to double overhead cam using a dummy cam in the block to drive the overhead cams. So was the twin dual cam like that? So was the twin dual cam actually a 5-cam motor? I've worked on those before, and I don't remember seeing the drive off of that. Late to the shows this week, but the small block versus big block. Buddy had a 400 turbo 479 Chevy 4x4 373s and 35s. Place with the 454. So he did better with the big block and and he had the same size cam in a 454. That seems odd that a big block would be better with the same cam. Are there certain flex fuel sensors you like in your tunes, or will any factory one from the LS do? Team wants to know about the flex fuel sensors. Do you guys have any that you recommend? I don't do it, so we don't do it in the vehicles. May your RPMs be high, your cams be choppy, and all your rods stay in place. And shiny side up. 170 blower is the true Vortec cogs. On 174 blower, is it true that Vortec cogs will work? I don't know. Does it have the same? You just have to check the offset and the shaft diameter. Richard, did you test the 2.2 head that Visor did? I haven't tested that yet. We tested it on the flow bench, but not on the car or on a motor. That was the twin dual cam motor. Okay. We did some porting on those and a bigger throttle body and headers, and we did a few things on those back in the day, but in the car, though, not on the engine dyno. So I would say it is possible to get better miles per gallon with a big block. The duration was the same, but the lift was vastly different. Continental flex sensor seems to be small and easy to use. Mine is wired and working. but never seen any E85. Pace Performance sells a GM Flex fuel sensor with fittings for $125. That's a good deal if you don't need anything different. And you don't need anything different. So you're good. You're good with that. Our poll comes in at 70% yes, choosing the more boost option. I bought a Vortec V-belly pulley for the crank and a V3 trim for a B&M Wyand. Did it work? Okay. I was looking at the pricing on pulleys for stuff. It's not cheap. I bought a great CNC made flex adapter on eBay to go from -8 to -6. V-belt is a long water pump. Shiny side up. That's why they don't use chrome transmission pans or diff covers, because they want to be seen. Yep. A lot of the AMR 500s have V-belts to drive them. And for what you're driving and the amount of airflow that it has and stuff, that wouldn't be a problem at all. A lot of the Volkswagen stuff has V-belts on them. I wouldn't be scared to drive one of those with that. Shiny side up. That's what we always say when we're racing. The 3.4 twin dual cam had a typical timing chain to drive the dummy cam. So that was driven off of the crank, right? Which in turn drove the double overhead cams. Cool. I want to boost my D16 Civic as a science experiment. Okay. I want to use an FMU and locking the timing low with low boost. Plan on getting a 6 BTM one day. My question is how much ring gap? 6.5 thousandths per inch of bore. Compounds versus twins for a daily weekend warrior. I would do twins. If I missed the later live feed. If you do, Eric, we'll make sure to save up all of the ads for you, just so you get rollover ads for the next time that you come. I need to switch my blower from a 10 rib to a Gilmer drive. Well, right now is your opportunity. I got pulleys, and they're giant too. I don't know, they're like this wide or something. They're Giganosaurus Rex. Got 1 more minute till the end of the year. It's the end of the year, and we know it, and I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. Ooh, look at that. Small block Chevy, high ram. Wow, that's really expensive. Ford Megazilla crate motor, $22,000. 612 horsepower, 670 foot-pounds of torque. That's nice. That is nice. Drive slow and stay to the right. Yes, get out of my way. With a 142, 144, you can use a Gen 2 long water pump snout, LSX 8 rib idler pulley, Vortex small block Chevy 10 rib crank pulley, and group deck 2-piece. That's a lot of stuff going on there. Was it August just a few weeks ago? I know. And on that note, it's time to go. Hopefully I will see you guys all tonight. Fingers crossed and eyesies closies.